Today, to commemorate some of our fallen UFC fighters, we are going to be looking at some of the best primes ever in the UFC. Now, I don't want to hear about Jon Jones because he's always been good. He's been good since he was like 23 years old, all right? Youngest champ. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear about the guys who were good and then fell off hard. Some of them did. You know, we got Conor McGregor, we got some other ones, but you know what I mean?
We got some of those guys who are still active right now and who are on those active streaks, you know? We're looking at the guys in those 2 years who were on top of the world.
Yeah.
You know, and then some of them might have fallen off or some of them might have gone like 1-1 after that, but for 2 years, these guys were unstoppable.
Exactly. You look at them, it's like, oh yeah, they're the GOAT of welterweight.
Yeah, you look at Jon Jones, you look at DJ, you look at Silva, you look at GSP. Those guys had 10 years of dominance, you know, maybe not 10, that's hyperbole, but they had careers full of dominance. These guys might not have had that full career of dominance.
They might have had one fight.
But for a moment, they were on top of the world.
Exactly. Now, the first person we got to talk about is fighting at UFC 313. We're doing a little pre-death celebration because everyone knows he's losing to Big Ink.
Shut up.
It's Alex Pereira. Now, his prime...
July 2023 to current.
Yeah.
Is the Blachowicz win, the 2 Yuri wins, the Hill win, and the Roundtree win.
The shortest amount of title defense, 3 title defenses, 179 days. Now a fourth one in 12 months. Well, if he defends, we pray. Yeah. But it would tie Jon Jones from like 10 or 12 years ago. This dude has been on a generational run. And I was thinking about like, you talked to me a little bit earlier about Pereira like eventually retiring. And like that will be an extremely sad day for the entire MMA community. I don't think you realize how much we're going to miss Pereira when he retires. This dude is carrying the light heavyweight division. And
he's just like, you know that it's going to be a good fight every time this guy goes out there.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, look, you can want... I don't even know why you'd want Big Ink to win, but you can want him to win, but you have to admit, the fights are not going to be as good. You're going to be getting average Rakic versus Big Ink for a title defense. That is not exciting, bro. All right? I'd rather have Pereira versus Roundtree every day of the week.
Yeah, like, he is, at the same time, destroying the light heavyweight division, but he's also... making it what it is, you know, from his dominance.
Exactly.
Like he's just killing everyone.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pereira's like might still be in his prime, even though he's 37, 38. But I need to commemorate it before he potentially loses to Big Ink. So that's why he's first.
All right.
The prime will not be forgotten. Dylan, who do you want to talk about
Let's
next?
talk about the guy who was in his prime and never made it to the top, but was as close as you can ever get to being at the top. Talking about Dominic Reyes.
Yeah.
You know, this guy went on a streak. Cannonier, St. Preux, Ozdemir, Weidman, and then he fought Jon Jones, and he lost the decision to Jon Jones.
John Mones Jones.
He lost to Jon Jones, which kind of ruined his streak. He was 12-0 coming into that Jones fight.
That's actually wild.
And then from there, lost to Blachowicz, lost to Yuri, lost to Ryan Spann. But now he's on the up again. He's back in his prime.
If you look at the 2 losses after Jones, like Blachowicz and Yuri, those are perfectly logical losses. But losing to Ryan Spann, who got cut... No.
Ryan Spann only has name value because he fought Dominic Reyes and beat Dominic Reyes.
That is just wild to me that he was able to lose. That's impressive. But yeah, the run to the belt... Those names are underrated as a resume, like the Chris Weidman, the Jared Cannonier, the OSP, back when OSP was actually good. Like that's a very underrated resume. And then the Jon Jones fight, which he literally, I'm not even going to say he arguably won. He literally won that fight. Like this dude's prime was unreal.
Oh, let's give Dominic Reyes some slack. Spann weighed in above contracted limit in that fight. He was overweight and Dominic Reyes still took the fight. But Ryan Spann, good news. Upcoming fight up against heavyweight prospect Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Oh, great.
So have no fear.
Wait, so Ryan Spann moved up to
He's in heavyweight now.
What? I didn't even know that. All right, the more you know. But look, we got to give Dominic Reyes his flowers for having the best performance against the best fighter of all time. You know, maybe it wasn't prime Jon Jones, but it was close enough.
No one has given, not even a guy like DC gave
That's true.
Jon Jones that much trouble.
Only Anthony Smith was able to do it. Next person I want to talk about, Khamzat Chimaev during COVID.
COVID Chimaev.
It does not get better for a prime than COVID Chimaev, bro. This dude was fighting every 4 weeks in the Apex, gained 9 million followers on Instagram in that time, which is just absolutely gnarly. And call me crazy. This is my hot take for the video, guys. I think if you take Khamzat Chimaev in his form when he was fighting in the Apex as a welterweight, I think he could have been the champion during that time, even when he was that young.
That would have been Usman would have been the champion.
Yeah, Usman would have been the champ.
Ooh, sorry.
And then maybe like during the end of it would have been Leon, but like at the end of those years. But yeah, Usman would have been the champ for the majority of that time. I think he could have beaten Usman, bro.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Well, let's go into this. You know, he comes in July of 2020, you know, beats John Phillips, beats Reese McKee, beats GM3, beats Jingliang Li, or Li Jianglang, whatever. Whatever that is.
Is that a doorbell?
Then we get the win over Gilbert Burns, the win over Kevin Holland, and then the win over Usman.
Didn't he have a win over Jack Hermanson too?
That was in wrestling. You know, that wasn't UFC.
Okay.
But
yeah, that's a wild.
He just
wild
was like,
streak.
boom.
And then he had those.
Yeah. Fights July 15th, July 25th, September 19th. In 2 months, he had 3 fights.
Yeah. That run is legendary.
And then didn't fight.
It will never be forgotten. And even if we do get him as champ, I'm still going to call his prime 2020.
Fighting Island, Khamzat Chimaev, legendary forever.
Honestly, it doesn't get better than that.
All right, next guy I want to talk about. A guy who, you know, has fallen off the horse, you know, we're seeing the tail end of his career. But, like, can we talk about 2019 to 2020 Israel Adesanya? Like, this is before Alex Pereira came in and ruined him, you know? But, you know, 2019 to 2020, that 2-year span, win over Paulo Costa, win over Yoel Romero, win over Whitaker, win over Gaslam, win over Anderson Silva. And, you know, his best win of his career is obviously that win over Pereira, you know? Getting to avenge that loss, finally get his ups. You know, the hero finally slays the villain.
I think it's just the frequency of his title defenses.
But in that 2-year span to have 5 title defenses.
Yeah. It's great.
And they were all great fights, you know, like that Gaslam fight. I mean, not Yoel Romero.
No, not Romero.
But
that's the reason I didn't have him on this list, is because I couldn't include Izzy's prime when he fought Romero. I swear to you, I send the meme of like me and bro trying to figure out the controls on PS5, and it's just like Izzy switching feet. I send that to you at least once a month. So that's why I couldn't include Izzy. But I do respect his title run. It was like one of the greatest runs in the UFC, coming from kickboxing and doing all of it in like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's very similar to Pereira.
Yeah, he just came in, dominated, and then
had to call out Pereira.
Yeah.
And ruin it all. And then Sean Strickland. So, yeah, one of the best middleweight runs of all time. Not as good as Anderson Silva, but...
How about the other guy that's kind of synonymous with Israel Adesanya? The guy we already mentioned, Kamaru Usman's run.
Yeah, I had him on my list.
Before Leon Edwards came in and ruined everything.
Dude, that's the thing. People were talking about Usman as if he was going to be better than GSP. No one could beat Usman. He beat all of the top guys. He beat him twice. He beat Gilbert Burns. He beat Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. This dude was just on a killing streak. He did beat Leon Edwards the first time, and then he was on track winning. I think it was up 4-1. Or sorry, yeah, 3-1. Yeah, 4-0. But dude, if that never happened, like, he would probably still be champ.
But like the names on this run, starting in November 30th of 2018, win over RDA, win over Woodley, win over Colby Covington, win over Masvidal, win over Gilbert Burns, win over Masvidal again, and win over Colby.
And now lost to Leon, lost to Leon, and lost to Chimaev. And he hasn't fought in what, a year and a half now?
Like,
the fall off has been pretty crazy, but that's why we got to respect his prime, because it did last quite a while, but the fall off is just completely off.
And you know what, like, the thing is with Usman is like none of those guys are like the name value. You know, like they have name value, but like they're all like, they were good welterweights. They weren't great welterweights. You know, you put those guys into like today's welterweight division, they ain't getting no title shots maybe.
It's like Drickus, he's beating like great middleweights. Yeah. He's beating Izzy Adesanya. He's beating Rob Whitaker. I feel like Usman wasn't quite facing like the top level.
Yeah.
But you can't blame him for it. There just wasn't.
Yeah, those were the top guys.
Exactly.
It's not his fault that welterweight now is just at a different level.
Exactly. So it'd be interesting to see prime Usman like up against Shavkat, you know? Ooh. I feel like that's a very
interesting fight.
Yeah, a little bit of a mirror matchup there. But yeah, Usman, when he just boom, absolutely KO'd Masvidal, it's iconic. It's literally iconic. That shot of Masvidal is getting his head whipped around, you can't beat that.
Can we talk about the guy with the most notorious, do you get what I did there? Notorious prime of all time.
Yeah.
The guy who it's actually hard to figure out what his prime was because he never really went on any streaks, 3-run streak and then.
No, I mean, the prime was definitely the Chad Mendes, the Aldo win, the Alvarez win, like those 3 wins. Those were back to back, right?
No, here's the thing. He has the win over Mendes and then the win over Aldo. Then he has the loss to Nate Diaz, but that's at welterweight, He has the welterweight loss to Nate Diaz. So we can kind of discredit that. And then he gets the win back over Nate Diaz, and then he has the win over Alvarez. Like I would say that this is his prime here. Yeah. He just happened to have had a short notice welterweight fight against Nate Diaz, So it's like, that's not canon. It's not in the weight class, not canon, And then it's interesting, though, because, like, it is the prime of his hype. He was on a losing streak. Like, he didn't even win a fight. He lost that boxing match to Floyd, and then he had that loss to Habib, came back, beats Cowboy, and then had the 2 losses to Dustin Poirier.
It is wild how all of the highest selling gates are him losing, except for Cowboy.
Did you ever watch, like, live the Floyd versus Conor boxing match?
Yeah, of course.
I remember I watched that, and I was like, oh!
He's doing it! And then it's like, no, Floyd is just playing with him.
Yeah.
So sad. But that was a real boxing match, because that went on Floyd's record, I think.
Yeah, it was actually sanctioned. Like, it was real, I'm pretty sure.
Because I remember, like, obviously the Logan Paul and like all those fights, like they're just stupid. The Deji, bro, Floyd Mayweather fought Deji. Like, what are we doing here? Deji Prime needs to be studied. I'll say that much.
Is that people thought that Conor could do it. It was the thing.
Well, of course.
They're like,
there's always going to be those people who, and I mean, Conor is such a mystic figure,
Yeah.
I predict these things.
But also, like, his skill set doesn't mix into boxing.
No.
He's not a pure boxer.
No, not really. It would have to be a lucky KO.
Yeah, it's not like you're putting Poirier, Holloway, one of those guys, into a box match. You're putting this guy with all these unorthodox strikes, with these elbows, with these knees, with these kicks.
And the karate stance. Like, you don't do that in boxing.
No, you're not.
Exactly. The style bender pose.
Yeah.
But yeah, Conor's prime, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the Aldo win in 14 seconds, it's probably one of the biggest things to happen to the sport, right?
It kind of changed the sport, I would say.
Yeah.
It kind of it brought us into the Charles era. I'm sorry, not the Charles era, the Conor era.
The Charles era. No, I just think Conor, as much as like he's tarnishing his legacy, he still had such a great run, and if you were there, you're never going to forget it.
Yeah.
It's something you witness once in life. We might never get another Conor McGregor. We probably won't.
You don't get another Conor McGregor.
No.
You don't get someone 10 times the size of a sport.
Yeah.
No fighter could come in and make the UFC 10 times bigger.
Yeah. That would be insane, though. Imagine the UFC is 10 times bigger.
Unless there was some guy who just came out and fought every week as the champion. It was just like,
could have been Hamza, bro.
Like, I will defend my belt every single week. I don't need to cut. Yeah. I'm just gonna beat you up, knock you out in round 1.
Drakus.
All right. Speaking of the Charles era, can we talk about one of your favorite fighters? And I would say everyone's favorite prime.
Charles Oliveira. Bro went on, like, I watched all of his fights leading up to the belt, and the amount of submissions he had is just unreal. Like, he wasn't getting these decision wins. He was submitting everyone. And it's like, it's impressive when you know what's coming and you still can't defend it. That's the impressive thing about Hamzat. It's the impressive thing about Conor. Like, they're going to strike or they're going to wrestle with you, and there's just absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. Rob Whittaker knew Hamzat was going to shoot in the first 10 seconds, and you still can't stop it.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of this.
This Charles run, from December 12th, 2020 up until May 7th, 2022. We got the win over Ferguson. This wasn't like trash Ferguson.
Yeah, too. I think Ferguson had only had the Gaethje loss at that point.
Win over Chandler. That legendary Chandler win to win the belt.
Yeah.
One of the most legendary fights ever. Then we have Dustin Poirier, that the submission win over Poirier, and then the submission win over Gaethje. Oliveira did weigh in above the contracted limit there, but still, it wasn't. He got stripped of the belt.
Yeah.
But was still an awesome win there.
Yeah,
those 4 fights, that was every mother trucker out there had those blonde tips going on. They had that blonde going on for Dublancs.
I swear, those are 4 of the most rewatchable fights of all time.
Oh, they're so much fun.
Like you, if you're on Fight Pass and you see those fights, you're gonna click on it. Tell me that's not true.
Yeah,
I love Charles, man, and we might be witnessing a second Charles Prime right now.
I hope so.
I really hope so, but
right.
Not with those ugly ass shorts.
Oh.
Those disgusting favela shorts. I need the yellow back. I need the yellow back. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Can we wrap it up with the guy who Prime lasted one night? The last one we'll talk about.
The last Prime bender? Cody Garbrandt?
Do you like it when I hit you with the broaton yesterday?
I didn't even know what that meant.
Poeton, bro.
I know, but why?
You referred to him as Chad?
Yeah.
So I said broaton.
I mean, but like Chad and bro aren't the same thing.
Chad is like
Chadaton.
Yo, my name's Chad. Yo, what's up, bro?
No, but I mean, we're talking about because Pereira made that bet with Ankalaev saying winner donates 200,000 to charity, which Ankalaev does not have that money. So I sent that to Dylan and I was like, what a Chad. Chad's like, he mogged him. And you're just like, broaton. I was like, what? What does that even mean?
Broaton.
Yeah, broaton. But Garbrandt. We're talking about Garbrandt.
What? 25?
Your favorite fighter.
25 minutes of Garbrandt. What a spectacle.
How many women have you told about 25 minutes of Garbrandt? Be honest.
None. This is a good opportunity. I will be showing 25 minutes of Garbrandt to someone tonight.
See if you can outlast Garbrandt. Have him up on the screen, on the TV behind you.
That is awful. That is nothing I will be partaking in.
Anyways, yeah, Garbrandt for those 5 rounds. I mean, it was cinema. It was the best footwork, the best head movement against Dominic Cruz, who arguably has some of the best footwork. And I mean, he's Speedy Gonzalez. I watched that fight back actually pretty recently, and we've talked about it before, but it's closer than people remember.
Yeah.
Cruz arguably could have won 2 rounds in that fight, but the rounds that Garbrandt won were so dominant. He won and he clipped on him. It's like Merab.
Yeah.
Merab Umar.
Yeah. Garbrandt walked so that Merab could run.
Yeah.
Put that on a shirt.
That is actually so facts. Comment if you agree with that statement, guys. That was awesome.
But that's going to wrap it up for us today. Go down to the comments. Let us know which primes were your favorite, before you had to watch the dramatic fall off.
Let us know if you could tell that this video wasn't planned.
We kind of messed up. We had different ideas of what this video was about.
Yeah, communication, we're not good at it.
That's why my relationship's fun and bull.
Yeah.
But peace.
See ya.